Hello. Give me 1 second while I wait for people to show up. And I'm going to grab my phone here. And yeah, let me know how the volume of my voice sounds relative to the game audio and the music. And I'll be back in 5 seconds. Okay, I'm back. And yeah, we're just we can just kind of stew in the ambiance here. Cool. Well then, let's get started, I guess. Okay, so so yeah, this is a mod that rescores id Software's 1996 first-person shooter Quake 1 or Quake with the 2008 Creative Commons licensed Nine Inch Nails ambient album Ghosts 1 through 4. If you've seen the previous video in this series, then we played through episodes 1 and 2 of Quake. This mod is a tourism mod by default. You can it doesn't give you any. It takes away all of the monsters and weapons and combat from the game. So you just move through the environments and listen to the music and explore the spaces and take in the ambiance. You can re-enable normal Quake gameplay and just play it with the new score. But yeah, and in our first stream a few weeks ago before the holidays, I played through episode 1 and 2 of Quake. As I mentioned in that stream, Quake has 4 episodes, and they were each by and large made by each of id Software at the time's 4 different level designers. Episode 1 has a few different authors in it, but it's got a lot of Tim Willett's levels in it. Episode 2 is mostly John Romero. Episode 3 is mostly American McGee, and episode 4 is mostly Sandy Peterson. And each of these designers had very different sensibilities. We're standing back in these little barriers over here appear after you complete one of the episodes, so we can't get back into those levels, leaving just episodes 3 and 4. So this is the entrance to American McGee's episode 3, The Netherworld, Primal Fear in a Strange Dimension. And this start map here, you know, this is a hub type thing that just, you know, doesn't have a whole lot going on other than just to provide portals into these 4 episodes. And John Romero built this thing, and he was actually kind of mimicking the style that he had picked up on the other designers using in their episodes. And so with this American McGee thing, we get a little with episode we get a little bit of an intro to American McGee's style here. There's a lot of metal plating and certainly some lava. I think what he was all about as a designer on this game was like dark, gritty metal and stone textures, and then very high contrast visuals using lava and other dramatic lighting type tricks. So yeah, let's jump into that. Okay, before we get into more of the American McGee levels, we're playing through the last of John Romero's 3 tech-based levels. Each episode of Quake starts off with a tech-based level where you're running around fighting like soldiers and whatever. It's a really odd, you know, given that the rest of the game is this dark medieval fantasy Cthulhu type stuff. The fact that you start each episode in this tech-based type situation and you're playing gameplay that is very, very reminiscent of Doom's is sort of weird. But that is partly a product of the game's very strained development process, where they made a whole bunch of like medieval fantasy type stuff, but then they still needed some clarity on the. They had to make some major design changes to tie everything together at the end, and so they settled on using more or less Doom-styled weapons and enemies, and making a pretty conventional FPS experience in a lot of senses. Which is not to denigrate all of the things that this game does, you know, uniquely and well, but it is much more conventionally. Like, if you read about Quake's development history, there's a lot more, you know, Romero specifically, originally had a lot more strange, non-FPS, kind of RPG-ish type gameplay. So, yeah, as a result, yeah, this is like I think a lot of what Quake 1 was doing here was setting, you know, it was a very influential game in its time, and they were kind of setting a lot of standards for, like, what tech bases would look like in video games for the next several years, which is a sort of dubious distinction, given that that kind of environment got absolutely beaten to death. And that's being generous, assuming that it wasn't already beaten to death as of Doom. But yeah, that is what it is. Is the stream quality and all that okay? Video and audio coming through just fine. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this level specifically. You know, it's deeper into the game. It's all of these tech-basey type levels. It is doing some nice stuff. I mean, I like the way that it might have been the one. It might have been, of the 3 Romero tech-based levels, it might have been the one that was built last, because its layout is fairly wrinkly, and it's got some interesting little secrets and stuff, which I'm mostly not engaging with that much. And yeah, and then as far as the music selection, this was one of the more techno-y. This is a techy, you know, obviously made with synthesizers sort of track, and I kind of separate when I was making the music, the track and level pairing choices for this mod. I kind of put the ones that sounded really tech-basey off to one side and reserved them for these. And then, yeah, like this mod also changes the intermission music for each episode. So, because there are also 4 or 5 or 6 much more subdued piano type tracks, and I allocated them to the intermission screens for each episode. And this is the episode 3 intermission. And yeah, actually, this intermission camera is giving us a look at a secret that we didn't get out to. Like, you can get outside into that area, and there's like a little teleporter or something. And this mod also removes, you know, like combat-related power-ups and stuff because you're invincible. So, but normally there would be some goodies out there that the player would see and want to collect. And yeah, you're also noticing maybe that the sky here is blue compared to when you're in the actual Quake dimension spaces. The sky is very much purple. Same sky tech and all that. Oh yeah, so okay, so this is the first of the American McGee episode 3 levels. When we walked in, dead ahead of us, there was a silver rune key type thing sitting right here, and then it disappears down through this narrow slit into another space that we can look down into, but not. Yeah, so there's a little bit of the designer jerking us around, and that kind of like dungeon master-like antagonism is definitely something that is a big theme in Quake's level design. You know, I think they were all looking to one-up all the clever traps that they had made in the levels of Doom 1 and Doom 2. Everybody was just trying to outdo each other as far as like clever traps and cool setups and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, these spaces are interesting. They're all pretty non-standard and asymmetrical. I would say more so than Tim Willitz's levels, which tend to feel more straightforward in terms of flow. Yeah, and I always forget, like, if this is part of the critical path. But yeah, like you get dropped down into this space here, and then there's a passage in the wall, and then it goes back up. I am going to hold on a sec here. I am going to turn down my the music in my headphones, just so I can hear myself talk just a little better. It should not affect the volume for y'all, though. Okay. Yeah, when the music is above a certain volume, it gets sort of distracting to be talking and playing at the same time. Okay. Yeah, and then there's that crucified Jesus texture that American McGee seems to like. You know, I think it only shows up in his levels. So I don't know. That was him just going with the kind of Nine Inch Nails vibe sort of thing. Okay, and then where does one go from here? Yeah, I guess I'm realizing that the gimmick here is that this looks like just an entire room that you're walking into, but in fact it's a weird elevator. Somebody in the chat asked about some bug that they had found. Yes, I've issued 2 updates since the last time I streamed this video and released the mod. Since the last time I streamed this, I made 2 updates to the mod on itch.io, so if you re-download it, then some of those bugs should be fixed. Like if you put it back into normal game mode, then the shotgun would have infinite ammo, just because I forgot to turn that off if you're in normal mode. So as far as I know, there are no remaining issues like that in the current version of the mod if you download it from itch.io. So yeah, this is just a little secret teleporter. You shoot a little wall section, and then it lets you into a space that has a teleporter. Okay, and now we are down here, and we can finally we are reunited with the silver rune key. So we can grab that, and now we're back in the hallway where we started, and we're even facing towards the silver key door that we weren't able to get at the beginning. Okay, and so this is like, I don't know what the term for this level design pattern is, but it's like it's a grid-like, it's not a labyrinth, but it's just like, you know, a very tight intersection of squarish pillars. It shows up in, you know, there's Doom levels where it shows up and so forth. Yeah, and then there's a gold key door, and we can see what is probably the level exit here. So we need that gold rune key. I think American McGee called them rune keys specifically, and so that's what they became in this episode. Okay, so we hit that button, and then that opens up the space, and then reveals a pressure plate, which we can then hit, and now it strands us on this pillar. And the only way that we can get out is jump down into this pit, where we find the gold rune key. But also, if we were playing in non-tourism mode, there would be a shambler enemy that we have to fight in pretty close quarters, which makes for a good, stressful sort of, you know, combat surprise. But yeah, and then we beat the shambler, and then head back out here, and now we can hit this and exit the level. Yeah, so that's kind of cool, the way that this, like, you know, the space transforms as you get into it, you know. There was a lot more that the level designers on this game could do with this engine compared to Doom. With Doom, you can raise and lower the ceilings of different sectors, so you can make, and that's how they made doors come down. Whereas here, you can pretty much take any given chunk of level geometry and move it in any given direction, you know, if you know what you're doing. And so that's why, you know, platforms can slide out from under you and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Okay, so that was E3M2. Now we're in E3M3, the Tomb of Terror. Silver key door that we can't get through. There's a little switch here. I forget what it does, actually. Okay, it opens up this thing. Simple enough. Pressure plate raises up some stairs. Here we're definitely seeing some of American McGee's lava penchant for lava. Oh, and look at that. There's a little secret there. I forget what that... Oh, cool. I don't know if I remember this one. Okay, yeah. So a little classic shoot switch that opens up a teleporter that gets you up high where there is a secret. Yeah, I dig these, like these trapezoidal hallways with fairly low ceilings and like these little skylights coming in. I think that's a really cool. It makes for some cool lighting setups. Yeah, American McGee. I mean, everybody, you know, with the exception maybe of Sandy Peterson, definitely like develops like a really strong personal lighting style with their levels in the game. And yeah, this is pretty typical American McGee stuff. American McGee also made two fairly beloved deathmatch levels in this game. And this little bit right here recalls DM2 Claustrophobopolis, which was one of the maps that he worked on. The other one is DM4, and the secret level of this episode, which we'll see in a bit, has a lot of echoes of that, or maybe I don't know which of them were built first. One kind of weird little thing here is that like this entire spot beneath this is dark, whereas if light were actually coming in from the sky, you would see a fairly parallel impression of this cross-shaped thing on the floor. But I think because the sky does not by itself emit light in the Quake engine. And so there's probably a light source right above this cross, and so it casts this oversized black shadow on the floor. Anyway, that's just me noticing something weird about light sourcing and stuff. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, like the fact that yeah, like I take out things like mega health and armor and all that kind of stuff, and so sometimes when you'll get into a secret area, and it'll just be kind of empty because all of the pickups have been taken away. And yeah, it does kind of lose something there. I guess there's a version of it where I could leave all of those in and just disable the enemies. I think I kind of didn't want there to be like constant pickup sounds in the levels, like because when you're running through a normal Quake level, you're constantly getting like like all those noises from picking up the pickups. Maybe I could just remove the weapon and ammo pickups. That would still make some secrets sort of unclear as to like, oh yeah, was there actually something here? I could just leave the health. There's a few different ways I could do it. In the Tourism Deluxe mod that I made for ZDoom, I do let the player customize that. I can say like, okay, only disable weapons and monsters, or alternately like make the player invincible and get rid of health and armor as well as that. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, like trophies and collectibles. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, or just some sort of like some little floating thing. I mean, I wouldn't want to put it on the HUD necessarily, other than just the level scoreboard thing that shows you X out of Y secrets. Yeah, and you do get a little counter for like the base Quake, unlike Doom, would actually show your secrets found count in the level in real time. In Doom, you had to wait until the end of the level before you could see whether or not you had found all the secrets, which was a pain, and I think they clearly wanted to improve on that for Quake, and they did. But yeah, having just like some sort of little floating abstract pickup thing, a totally arbitrary collectible object, if you will, to just signify that there is a secret here. Yeah, that might be worth something. I don't know if I am going to return to this mod. I kind of like did everything I wanted to do with it. If people find any more bugs, I would definitely want to fix those. But Yeah. Yeah, this is a situation where you know, there's whoop. Okay, I lingered too long on this. I lingered too long on this walkway, and then it came back down. So I am going to have to no clip out of here. This is a danger of this is another thing that was in the tourism that came up with the tourism mod that I don't really have an answer for. Is that you if you fall into lava, that usually you can get out of things if you fall down into them, but in a few cases they were counting on you just dying if you fell into the lava. And yeah, in this case you are invincible, so you will remain down here, so you have to use no clip if you fall into the lava. And yeah, I really don't know what to do about that, but if anybody has any ideas. Okay, so let's continue on here. I was lingering on this area just because I wanted to just, again, acknowledge American McGee's style here in full effect, like using like these glowing runes. That was something that Quake had that Doom didn't, is that you could have self-illuminated bits of textures, so like things that would basically glow in the dark. Like these surfaces are completely in shadow, but they've got like these glowing rune things that are special colors in the game's palette. And then yeah, just like these narrow lighting things and the lava coming up, like there's just a lot of good high contrast type stuff going on there. Okay. Okay, and now we have the silver key. Yeah, if you haven't played through Quake in a while, then yeah, definitely feel free. Like, yeah, the mod has some instructions, and it's very simple to just play through the game in normal, with normal Quake gameplay, but with this music. Somebody asks if I have any plans on doing this for either of the two Quake mission packs, Scourge of Armagon and Dissolution of Eternity. I'm not nearly as familiar with those, and I don't necessarily know what I would use as a soundtrack. I mean, I wouldn't want to just reuse Ghosts, but because I think also like those levels that Ritual and Rogue respectively did don't quite have the same ambiance or attitude or something. I think they kind of go their own direction. It would be interesting to find another piece of music that goes well with each of those two expansions and rescore it to that. The approach that I used here, you can look at the way that I modded, like all the source files and stuff are included with the mod itself, so you can look at how I did that, and it should be pretty easy to do, to come up, you know, to use it to provide those two expansions with a different score. So yeah, feel free. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that was E3M. That was E3M3, and now we are at E3M4, Satan's Dark Delight, which is again just a really, it's just a super American McGee name for a level. Yeah, so we can see that's the exit right there, but it says this door is opened elsewhere, as it so often does in Quake. And so our only choice is to go through this trapdoor type thing and go into the water. And now we're in this area and we're like swimming around, and there's these walkways, but we can't get up to them. And a door opens up and lets us up through onto a lift. We hit a switch, and now we are up on those walkways. These two doors are closed. And yeah, like, you know, in non-tourism play, this is a very, like, there's a whole bunch of enemies along these things, so this is a space that you double back through multiple times, and it kind of changes up the combat setup each time. And yeah, okay, right, this door opens elsewhere. Oh yeah, you can hit that little, shoot that little thing, and then you get up here for a secret. It's kind of cool. So when I hit this switch, I believe that's what opens that door that wasn't open before, but it also locks these things, and some enemies spawn in. We've got to fight them. And now we pass through here, and we're going the other direction. Yes, American McGee did make Ultimate Doom E4M1, which is a pretty player antagonistic level. It's just sort of like, you know, it does not pull any punches as far as, you know, it's very ammo scarce and whatever. There's nothing that McGee did in this game that is nearly so you know, rude. but you know, he gets some good tricks in. Yeah, this is just like this little section here is just a weird little, you know, there's these moving platforms that you've got to jump around on, and you've got to shoot those. Any red switch in the game is like a shoot switch, and if you don't hit the platforms properly, then you fall down into the water, and you have to take a teleporter back up and try again. And there's fighting along the way. Okay, so we're getting close to the end of this level, and one thing that I have to remember here is, well, there's a little secret right there. This is, you know, I think this game compared to Doom also significantly expanded like the vocabulary of things that they could use for secrets. In this case, it's like, okay, well, you can shoot surfaces for secrets, and because you can look up and down in this game, you'll notice that this bank of ceiling lights here, one of them is yellow instead of white, and you can look up and shoot that, and then that opens up a little niche with a goodie in it. Okay, and now we're in this last little section here. That is the way to the level exit, but we are going to take the secret entrance, the secret exit here, which is down this. It's down a wind tunnel. So yeah, this is the secret level of Episode 3, E3M7, The Haunted Halls. And it's kind of mazy and confusing, I find. And it's not super remarkable on its own. There's one thing that I want to talk about in here. That is, it's very strong similarities to... I like this little room. It's just like, you know, dead-end room, but it's got these little like lava side lights to provide lighting. This is an example of a room that's lit entirely with lava, basically. There's also a point light source right there, just so that the switch, so that you could see the switch. Why are most wind tunnel exits too high to land safely? Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, Quake is definitely a game where sometimes you're just going, even if you're doing a perfect run, you're going to take some damage. I think just the designers thought of like, well, yeah, sometimes we're just going to hurt you and there's nothing you can do about it. I think, you know, level designers can vary a lot on like, or projects can vary a lot on that. On like, is that okay to do, you know? And in this case, I think they were just like, sure, we're gonna like fling you around. I think they were partially just like enamored of how cool wind tunnels, like once they realized that they could like use trigger pushes to fling the player around like that. I think they got into that, and the fact that the player took a little bit of fall damage as they were coming out of that just, you know, didn't overly concern them. It's certainly a bummer if you die to it. So, yeah, the thing that I wanted to comment on in this level specifically, like the one thing that jumps out to me, is that this level probably feels more similar than any to DM4, American McGee's other deathmatch level for Quake 1. And DM4 is, yeah, it looks pretty similar to this. It has a lot of the same texturing, and it uses these same walkways here, where you've got like this scalloped teal texture interrupted by like these little gaps that you don't fall through. I forget if they're clipped off or not. I mean, you can shoot through them. But yeah, this was just something that American McGee did, like kind of like anytime there was a walkway, he would break up that shape with these little struts or something, you know. And I mean, it's an unsupported walkway, so it's like kind of incoherent architecturally, but you know, that's that, you know, Quake is already just in a weird fantasy place. Yeah, so like this, particularly this three-way intersection here, feels very, very DM4-ish. I don't know if this level was made first and then DM4 was sort of a deathmatchified version of that, or vice versa. But yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's just a bunch of walkways and kind of close quarters stuff. Yeah, we see that there's some stuff going on in the lava here, so we shoot that, and it opens up a hatch in the floor. We go down into that, and it does... I forget what that does. I think it opens the way that we were in. And then you shoot that, and I can't remember exactly, but that might be the only shoot teleporter in the game, which is kind of wacky. Like, you shoot something, and it teleports you. I don't know if it's actually, like, shoving you into something, but yeah. This is a row of nail shooters that's deactivated in tourism mode, but you run through that, and that's another situation where you are probably going to take some damage running through that hallway, and they don't care. Alright, so yeah, we just get through that. That's like this, that's a fairly complicated little cage type thing. Get into that. I forget what's, I think there's like a quad damage in here or something. Go through here, and that's the end of the level. It's pretty slight, you know, as a lot of secret levels tended to be. And I completely forget what... Okay, and so now we are in the one Tim Willits level of this episode, the Wind Tunnels, E3M5. This is an odd one. It's definitely got much more of a strong gameplay gimmick. Yeah, and they even had to like show some text to instruct you on how this works. Jump up here. So yeah, the way that they're doing this is there's an entity type that they made during Quake's development called a trigger push. And when the player is in a trigger push, it pushes them in a direction. And, you know, I forget if that was originally just made to sort of, you know, for a more utilitarian level design purpose, but Tim Willits, I think, had been playing with it and realized that you could make things that were like wind tunnels, like these wind tunnels that we're in, effectively, where you step into them and then you get pushed, you know, long distances and flung and stuff like that. And this is actually like, you know, this prefigures the jump pads that you see in Quake 3. I forget how similar the tech with those were. But, you know, in Quake 3, obviously, you know, made jump pads like a whole... It leaned on those very hard. But yeah, in Quake 1, trigger pushes were all about, yeah, like there was this wind tunnel type thing. And, yeah. We're kind of alternating between, like, rooms with big pipes in them and, like, sewer cistern type things. So now we're swimming underwater here, and that thing is blocked off, but we can swim up here. And we find ourselves back in this space, but now a second of those three pipes have opened up. This is something that I completely did not notice back in the day. But we went into this one first, and that pipe is unmarked. This one is marked with some symbol, one of those Quake texture symbols. And then this third one is a non-red symbol, so we'll go through that one last. But yeah, we jump up here, and woo! Yeah, Quake... yeah, Quake's levels are pretty aggressively nonsensical, you know? Like, they're just not concerned with trying to be... I think there's a little secret here or something. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, it's just a strange, surreal nightmare world with industrial metal and castles and tech bases and whatever, and that's just what the game is. Okay, so now we've come back into this space, and this tunnel has opened up. That lets us go deeper in. Woo! And, like, you can't even... It happens so quickly that you can't even really follow, like, but we were flung across one of the spaces we had already been through. So, yeah. Some more nail shooters in here. Non-tourism play. Open up the way there. Nail shooters in the floor. This is just a big ol' open room with a kind of funnel-like opening in the bottom. And then we go through here, and I believe we're now back in the space, in the hub space, basically. And now this last tunnel is open. And we go through that, and now we're just flung straight into the room with the exit teleporter. And I forget what this is, but... Oh, that takes us... Okay, that's just a way back to the hub. If we had something that we wanted to do. But we don't, so let's jump in. So yeah, that was Tim Willett's The Wind Tunnels. Yeah, and we have now reached the last of Episode 3's levels, the Chambers of Torment, E3M6. And we're back to American McGee here. We've got, like, big surfaces of, like, that metal plating texture. This, like, tower of carved faces kind of thing here, which I think mostly just American McGee uses. I like these big light... I don't know what you would call these. Torch stands or something. It's just like this really... You know, there's a sort of like modernism that happens with the super low poly counts of Quake 1. Because this is like very few shapes, and so it looks just kind of like a weird abstract art that just happens to be textured in this gritty kind of way. So yeah, we took a little bit of a shortcut there. We sort of jumped through that, but normally... I don't know if there's anything especially interesting here. Yeah, there was just some monsters to fight, and then we wrap around. I guess there's also... Oh yeah, there's a little side tunnel here. And yeah, I think maybe this whole section just exists in case you fall down into the lava. Yeah, I guess like if you fall down into the lava, they wanted to give you like a reasonable way back. Like if you jump, then you can get over all of this lava and not take any damage, other than just what you've already sustained. So that's kind of a uncharacteristically gentle level touch. Okay, so yeah, this is the main path here. We've got another kind of architectural gimmick. You know, I mean, we talk about, you know, a particular level designer's style in this game, but I think also from level to level they were like trying to come up with new architectural motifs, you know, because we don't really see this in any other level that I can remember. Yeah, just like this sort of banked like support kind of thing. And then we have this thing, which is one of the most charming, like, you know, this is basically a grating fence type thing. Back in Doom, you would have just used a masked texture, you know, a texture with some transparency holes cut in it, but this is just actually made of brush geometry. And there's baddies behind this, and like I think there's ogres, and they're like throwing grenades at you from behind here. So yeah, I dig this feature. It's a cool one. All right, yeah, that's a silver key thing, and we need that. So yeah, we go into here, and I think there's some more enemies that spawn on the way back. And now we can get through here. Can't get through here. We see a gold key door ahead. We're like, oh, But then right up there we see the gold key. So that's a nice little bit of level design. Yeah, you know, I think you're right. I think, I mean, just in general, I think Quake did not support, like, yeah, they just didn't want to handle transparency at all, like, in this game. Like, obviously, transparent water didn't come around until GL Quake, when they had hardware acceleration that could blend textures. Because doing that in software would have been, like, super expensive, I think. And yeah, like, the usual masked texture, which is like, I realize that's kind of a jargony term. A masked texture is basically like a transparent texture where the transparency is either fully opaque or fully transparent. And that happens to be very easy to work with when you're doing, when your game is still rendering in 256 colors instead of, you know, higher color, which Quake 1 absolutely was, because that was what VGA cards could do at the time, and that was the min spec for Quake 1. So yeah, we've followed this around, and now we are in the final area of the level, but we're down on this lower point where we cannot get up to... That's the rune that we're in this episode to get, but we can't get up there without going through the rest of the level or rocket jumping, which Quake 1's designers, I believe, were not aware of. Oh yeah, this is a fun little two platforms sliding past each other situation. Yeah, like, there are definitely multiple moments in Quake 1 that you can break. You know, you can circumvent, you can sequence break by rocket jumping. Curiously enough, they were aware of grenade jumping because there's a bit in one of the Sandy Peterson levels next episode. Where there's a grenade jump setup that we'll see in a little bit. Yeah, that's true. There are sprites in Quake. There's very few of them, but there are sprites in Quake, and those are masked. Like, there's that little light globe that gets used a few times in episode 4. Yeah, and then there's also, like, you know, like, it kind of depends on your definition of rocket jump, because Doom E3M6, Mount Erebus, Sandy Peterson's level, had something that was equivalent to a rocket jump in Doom, which actually, rather than propelling you up, propelled you out to the side, and that was how you accessed the secret episode of Doom, E3M9. But yeah, like, the modern notion of a rocket jump, where you look at the ground and jump and shoot at the same time, and it propels you. You get, you know, a multiplied velocity upward. Yeah. The fire, I believe, is polygonal. Like, if we get right up close to it, I think this is a 100% polygonal mesh. Like, you know, you can see that it's made out of triangles, and even, like, the little embers coming up off of it are little, like, tetrahedrons, basically. Yeah, that wasn't clear to me either until I took a close look. But yeah, okay, so we're finishing up episode 3 here. Yeah, and now we get the end of episode 3 text. You know, yeah. While we're at an intermission here, I'm gonna run to the bathroom, and I will be right back in just a second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had a whole pot of tea this morning and just had to visit the Well of Wishes. Okay. Yeah, you know, something that I would love to know is if each episode's designer wrote the end of episode text here. I don't know if that was all Sandy Peterson or all Romero or who knows, but yeah. Yep, just talking about hideous creatures and stuff. Yeah, it is kind of a nice game to play in winter. Okay, so we're back in the start map here. And yeah, let me just save here. And now we've got 3 of the 4 episodes completed, and now it is on to the Sandy Peterson episode, The Elder World, Your Worst Nightmares Come True. First, let's take a look at, so yeah, you drop into this water here, and then you fall out of it and realize that you were in a pool of a floating pool of water, which is something that happens elsewhere in Sandy's episode. I think this was Romero riffing on that thing. And actually, like, the thing that I did here was I swam back a little bit so that I fell onto these beams here, because there is a little secret. Yeah, this passage selects Nightmare skill. I'm not going to do that because it's just irrelevant here because we're in tourism mode. But yeah, there's also this little thing that you can shoot, and it gives you actually some advice on finding the Crypt of Decay, which is a secret in John Romero's episode. So, I don't know, I think that was just a weird little thing that he added in there. It would be kind of cool if there was, like... It'd be kind of cool if there was, like, a hint for the secret level of each episode in the start map that you could find if you poked around, but I don't know. Okay, so yeah, let's enter episode 4. So this is the 4th and final tech-based level, but this one was actually made by Tim Willits. And you can kind of tell, like, it feels, I don't know, it's got a pretty different level design sensibility. This tech-based level has a lot of water in it. And then, yeah, we run into that gold key. And so, yeah, they just sort of say, go into the water. So we swim around, and we find some tunnels here, and we're like, okay, where do we go? We go up here, and this thing comes out of the floor, and then leaves us up here. We run along here, there's like some energy bolt shooters. Okay, and there's the gold key we were after. And it drops us right down near the gold key door. Yeah. I feel like I forget what exactly. I don't know Quake 2 nearly as much, but I feel like this little hallway right here, there's something about it that feels eerily familiar of a bit from early on in Quake 2. I don't know. I mean, there's also just like this shape in the shape of this texture here, this like trapezoid, shows up a lot in Quake 2 as well. I think in a lot of ways Quake 2, they were just sort of pushing the tech base aesthetic of the Quake 1 tech base textures further along. Yeah, okay, and so now we open something, and we jump back into the water, and it's opened up this. We get a handy little directional arrow pointing us this way. I forget if there's anything in here. Oh, this is just a little... Okay, yeah, this is just another little way in. And now we surface here. Hit a little switch there. And we can go up into here, and we can see the teleporter out of this level, but only through a cage. Can't get in there, so we've probably got to go back in the water. And where is it? Okay, yeah, we came in here. Ah, yes, and it opened up a hatch in the floor here. And now we're in like a huge water-filled chamber. And we swim up and we're in the teleporter spot. Okay, and so for the rest of all of the levels for the rest of this episode are going to be Sandy Peterson. Okay, so this is E4M2, the Tower of Despair, and we get this weird visual where we're seeing a lot more of the Quake sky than we normally would. This might be a good point to talk about the Quake sky tech. It's actually, this was rendered in kind of a weird, bespoke way. You know, the level designer just puts down a brush that is sky, and then anytime you're looking into a sky brush, it's rendering into the skybox. And yeah, you can kind of see that like there's two different layers. There's like a cloud layer that's panning more quickly than the underlying cloud layer. Well, there's a masked texture cloud layer that's panning above the opaque other cloud layer, which generates a nice parallax kind of effect. And it also warps. It's not just like a panning off into the distance thing. It actually kind of like curves. which is a really neat effect. It lends things, I feel like, a much more otherworldly feeling, and that's really cool. I don't know if this was just something born of technical necessity, because like if you say that there's an infinite plane stretching off into the distance, then that can be kind of tricky, like particularly when they were doing this, you know, software render kind of thing. Like when a texture tiles just indefinitely, it's got to stop somewhere. How do you, like, I don't know. There's a few technical questions that this curving sky thing like pretty elegantly sidesteps. So that's neat. Oh yeah. The window is key to a secret. See, I already knew that, so I shot it, you know, all the way down. So yeah, this little dagger switch here. Sandy Petersen loves that, using that little dagger thing, that little dagger texture as a switch. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that. Yeah, Sandy Petersen also loves this window texture here. This shows up at a few points in a few of his levels. And yeah, this arch, I gotta say, like, you know, so one of the things that people criticized about Sandy Petersen's Doom levels as well as his Quake levels is that geometrically they're not as interesting or flashy as Carmack and Romero and McGee. As Tim Willett's, John Romero, and American McGee's spaces. What's going on here? Okay, yeah, sorry. Oh, interesting. Oh, okay, yeah, I found a secret that I had just forgotten all about. Yeah, like, I don't know, people talk about Sandy Petersen's levels looking worse than the rest of the game, which is true in many cases, I think, but I do, when Sandy Petersen tries to do interesting stuff with the level design, I definitely really appreciate it. Like, you know, his texture choices tend to be more unconventional and strange, which works really well for Quake 1's, like, you know, just surreal stuff. And I think, you know, like, there's also just sort of like a, you know, all of the level designers, when they were working in this engine where they did not have a lot of polys to throw around, just making something like an S-shaped hallway interesting, you kind of had to make stone soup, you know? You had to, like, be like, okay, I'm going to take these shapes here, I'm going to make a triangular cut, or I'm going to add some triangular pieces to this wall, and then I'm going to put a light source just so that what would otherwise be a very boring, sad-looking corner ends up kind of being cool. So yeah, I definitely really appreciate that. Just, you know, doing something weird. And you know, this game's level design is so abstract that I think it also lends, you know, it also creates that sense of you know, that sense of deep surreality. Okay, so we're looking into, whoop. Oh, I already spoiled it a bit. So yeah, this is a pretty like Sandy Petersen, you know, was a pen and paper RPG designer, and so a lot of his setups in this episode kind of have like an impish dungeon master quality, where he gives you something that seems kind of ridiculous or nonsensical, or you don't understand it at first, and then eventually you figure out how to do it. In this case, it's like, okay, I'm looking at a pool with 3 alcoves around it, and then there's like this bar that is really just there. It's in one way, it's like the most clumsy device ever, because yeah, like, it just means that you can't jump here, because if you could jump, then you could sort of make it over and like circumvent a little bit of the intended progression here. But yeah, we fall through that, much as we did in the start map. We fall into this water, which is in fact just a floating water brush, and then we fall down into this space, and we're like, oh crap, how do we get out of here? I think there's like a shambler down here, so it's definitely like a rude thing to get dropped into. Yeah, so let's see. I forget how I get over. Nope, it's not there. Also, this area is like super dark. That's right, yeah. And yeah, it might not actually do me any good to be here. Yeah, because I think what I'm really intended to do is just go around here and ride this lift up, and then I get out here. And yeah, there's like some goodies up there. I think there's like a quad damage or something. So... Okay, yeah, and then we come into another really baffling, weird space. Like, you know, nowadays, if you built this in a level on... if you were working on a AAA game or something and you built a space like this, you know, a level artist or somebody would yell at you and be like, well, you know, they'd just be like, what is this? Like, what? There's like this suspended cage type thing. There's a stained glass window, and there are these like wooden beams. You know, there's just a fundamental ambiguity about what it's supposed to represent, if anything, and just what the logic of this space is. And that's great. I love that. It's weird. And yeah, some more just weird, interesting shapes for the light fixtures here. And yeah, because we've already been trained to shoot these stained glass windows, we do that and we jump through, and I think this just gets us a secret. I don't think this is progression critical, but we hit that, and then we can jump down here. And then, oh yeah, so maybe it is progression critical. It opens up. This little opening has teeth in it, so we're pretty wary of that, but it's got a gap in the bars that we can go through the other way. It's just sort of a Looney Tunes type thing. This is interesting because like these fire meshes are just sitting, they're just kind of floating in midair, which is neat. Yeah. Yeah, this is like a weird patchy walkway kind of situation. And we can get up here and get a secret. Oh, that's the exit, but we need the silver key. Go through here. And yeah, I think if we just go the normal way through here, then we hit that. Okay, yeah, that's right. Sorry, my memory of how to get through these levels is not the most... So yeah, this is interesting. This is another just super dungeon mastery kind of thing. We get into this one space here, and we see something that's a little bit familiar, like the 3 alcoves with arches over them. And we see, much as we did before, that there is a key in one of those. And then if we jump into any of those, we actually teleport into, and we realize that we're on the far side of that thing we were looking into before. So it's like that little room was sort of like a miniaturized symbolic teleporter kind of thing, which is just an interesting, weird thing. I don't know. Like, yeah, I think it's always a challenge to show people where a teleporter is going to go. So, yeah. I thought that was a clever solution for that. Okay, and now we've got the silver key. Does that let me do anything in here? Yeah, I'm just really foggy on what the critical path here is. Oh yeah, no, we already came through that way. And yeah, there was this cage that was keeping us out of the back half of that section before. No, and now we're back here. Okay, and now we're up here. Sorry, thanks for bearing with me as I bumble around here. Nope. Okay, so there is just like there's just sort of a big, large-scale loop kind of thing happening here. And yeah, this teleports us down into the corresponding chamber there. So let's teleport back up to this spot. Because I forget if... Nope. I feel like there is a secret along here or something, but I'm probably wrong. Yeah, and that's just that little dead end with the switch. Okay, so no, the way forward must have been through here. This level is making use of, you know, and I think another reason that Sandy Petersen deserves some credit in the level architecture front is that those archways, we're not looking at one right now, but those archways are quite nice. That's the kind of thing that when you're making that in an editor, you can just kind of do it once. Like, hold on, let me see if I can get to a spot where... Damn, yeah. I was at the exit for this level at some point, and now I've just forgotten where it is. Oh, there's a little secret. Okay, I guess we found most of the secrets for this level now. All of them. Okay, there we go. Okay. And that's the way out. Okay, wow, so the exit for this level is just in a secret room somewhere, and you have to make that jump. Okay, I don't feel so bad for forgetting how that works now. Okay, so now we are in the Elder God Shrine, E4, M3. We shoot the stained glass window, as we have been thoroughly trained to do now. We go in here. And yeah, this level feels, I feel like this level kind of has the feel of a particularly rambly Doom 2 level. It feels like it goes off in a bunch of different directions from a hub, and that you're sort of slowly unlocking different sections of it. Yeah, there's this whole thingy. Yeah, that's some of these stained glass windows have a little secret you can get through. Both of them actually are non-solid. Don't have the silver key yet, but now these things open up. Yeah, so this is another archway that honestly is like pretty nice looking. It's definitely a pain, you know, because the artist would just do like an archway texture, but then it was up to the level designer to manipulate the brushes such that like it followed the contours of the texture. Which had to have been a huge pain in the editor that they had for Quake 1 in-house, Quake Ed that John Romero wrote, because they didn't have a full 3D view or anything. There was nothing WYSIWYG about that, other than just like a top-down, other than just the top-down view. So yeah, like skewing stuff down and then aligning the textures correctly. But once you had that working in a level properly, you could just copy-paste it around. I assume. Again, I haven't used Quake 1, and I don't have a next step workstation that I can knocking around that I could just, you know, try running it on. But I've seen screenshots, and also Romero has talked about like how hard that was to use. Like, you know, they were doing the best that they could with the tools they had, but you know, it would not be until QE Radiant, I guess, that they started building out their tools more. Okay, so this lets us back into here, and yeah, my big complaint with this level is definitely that like this stuff is really samey. Oh yeah, I love this. You're walking down what seems to be a really, you know, you get kind of lulled into a sense of safety from these hallways because you've seen a hallway that looks like this a few times already in this level, and then you move and the floor starts sliding out and you're dropped into the lava. So that's cool. That's a cute little gotcha. Alright, and we get the silver key. And I forget, can I go through here yet? Probably not. Yeah, okay. Oh, no, didn't mean to go there. Okay, don't want to go there. I want to go here. Oh, okay, some lights come on. That is something that Quake 1 can do. They can turn different lights off and on. You can't move a light source, but you can turn it off and on. Another skull scroll arch for the level exit visible there. Yeah, and this is another clever little gotcha kind of thing. Yeah, like this, it lowers what you thought was an O-shaped hallway. It's now one of these things, and then you go into this weird chamber. Yeah, like that's just a super weird setup. And I forget what that actually accomplishes, if anything, but... Is there anywhere I can get from here, or is it really just... No, I guess not. Huh. Okay, yeah, that must be to, Okay. This is decent direction, at least, is that, yeah. Right across the way. We're looking at the silver key door. Oh yes, Trench Broom. Trench Broom is a modern Quake level editor. It's really good. It's very 3D view-centric, so you can be just flying around a what you see is what you get version of your level and moving brushes around in real time. Okay, so now I think... Where is the gold key door? Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think it was back through here. Okay. I think there was actually a section of this level that we didn't get to, but I could be wrong. Yeah. 2 out of 3 secrets. Okay. Now we are in E4M4, the Palace of Hate. Yeah, this is a nice architectural motif here. We've got these octagonal columns here. Another nice little abbreviated use of an archway. This is a one-off, I believe. I can't remember seeing this anywhere else, but there are, like, lava volumes, for instance, damage you if you go into them, and I think Sandy Peterson had been messing with this stuff and had figured out that if you just specify a negative number for damage in a volume, then it will heal you. And so, yeah, this is just like a little healing pool with a pulsing light source. And, yeah. This one particular... I'm going to nerd out on this for a second. This one particular screen full right here really reminds me of the Sunspire level from Unreal Gold. From Unreal. Which, if you've seen my Unreal Tourism stream, then, yeah. Sunspire was a high point of that. Okay, yeah, so this is another just sprawling level full of weird gimmicks and stuff. Yeah, you can go up here, and it's like, okay, that's a platform with something on it. I want to get up there. You've got these little walkways that are just moving back and forth, going in and out. And that opens up, and there's some monsters in it. And, yeah, I forget... So there's that far shore there, and the lip on it is tall enough that we can't actually get there, so we've got to do something else. And what is that thing? I forget. Yeah, see, we can't get up there. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a switch or something that we've got to hit first. I don't necessarily want to blame the level direction for this in its entirety, because it's possible that non-tourism play would make it clearer what's supposed to be happening here. Yeah, I don't think Sandy Peterson was as big on just shooting light fixtures for secrets. Okay, and this is just circular. Yeah, what am I missing here? I can go here, but I don't think that actually does anything for me. And yeah, something will make this platform here just start extending. Alright, well let's assume that I need to go somewhere else in the level first. Oh, okay. Now there's a little elevator here that takes us into a hallway, to a higher hallway that is ringing that space where we came in. And there's several different points of interest that come off of that. I think this takes us down into the main, into like this space. That is the door out of the level, I believe. But we need the silver key before we can get through there. And yeah, I think there's some fiends here. This is just like kind of a classic like cathedral hall type space, you know, with timbers and all that, so... what does this do? Oh yeah, this is kind of an underground, like, this hallway kind of tunnels underneath a lot of the sections that we've been through before. This is also, like, yeah, Sandy Peterson's lighting work isn't always super flashy, but I do definitely approve of the practice of, even if it's unsourced, putting a light source down under these slat stairwells to create these nice, like, shadows pouring out. That's just got kind of a cool look that I associate very strongly with this episode. Okay, that's where we came in. No. Sorry, this level is a little easy to get turned around in. Alright, that's where we... Alright, we'll just go back the other way. The Palace of Hate. Okay, and this is a deeper section of the level where we've got these hallways, this kind of odd timber kind of thing. Feels... I don't know, almost a bit Norse or something, like it's just Spartan medieval kind of thing. Okay. Oh, and that was a, yeah, that's a little guillotine blade with skulls on it. Comes down, gets you if you're not careful. Oh yes, that's right. Okay, and we step on this pressure plate and that sets that other little weird extendo pier platform. Alright, now we jump across here. Okay, and this is that grenade jump opportunity that I was talking about. So you're standing beneath here, and you see a teleporter surface, which is, it's weird because it's like a vertical teleporter surface just emerging from this horseshoe shape. And you jump, and you can't quite reach it, whereas if you stick a grenade, there's a little box in the ground, cut into the ground here, and if you drop a grenade into that and then stand right on top of it, then it will knock you, the force of the explosion will knock you into that teleporter. So yeah, that is the one grenade jump, if I recall, in Quake 1. Let's see, yeah. There's a few situations, we haven't run into them yet, I don't think, but if you've missed some of the secrets in the level and you're heading towards the exit and you haven't found them yet, then it'll pop up some text and be like, are you sure you want to leave yet? That you haven't, there's something that you may have missed. So it's just like the designer just very directly like telling you, come on, I hid something cool in here for you, go find it. Okay, so this is E4M5, Hell's Atrium. It contains the entrance to the secret level of this episode, which we should go to. This is yet another, like, kind of, I feel like maybe Sandy Peterson, like, you know, changed up texturing and color and shape themes more between different levels than some other designers did. Because yeah, these like sort of just simple slanted cube shape torches are unique as far as I can remember to this level. But they look cool. It's got kind of a chunky, I don't know, yeah, like it's very little polygons doing something kind of interesting. So yeah, okay. So the way that this level works is there's a silver key situation that once you have the silver key, you can hit that switch and it brings down this walkway that lets you travel across that lava. However, if we want to get to the secret level, then we actually have to make that jump without the silver, without lowering the platform, because that hitting this switch, not only does it lower that, it also draws some bars across the secret entrance there, which you can barely see around the corner on the left there. So let's not do that. But we do need to get the silver key, because the silver key is required to unlock the door, the secret entrance, the secret level's door. So yeah. And yeah, I think this is just entirely optional, but yeah, we can go here and shoot this, and then we're up in like this room that has a bunch of zombies in it and stuff. And usually like this bloody metal floor and ceiling thing means that you can shoot something and it will squish the zombies or something, but I forget. Okay. The deeper reaches of this level have a bunch of this going on, where yeah, it's like these kind of medieval windowed hallways. But then yeah, we get dropped into this. Yeah, this is a funny setup. You walk towards this teleporter and you're like, wait, I'm not moving anywhere. And actually, this entire wall with the teleporter in it was moving backwards from you as the floor was drawing out from under you. So then you jump back into the water, and now you're back. Now we're back in this space. If I recall, there's a bunch of zombies here. Yeah, you walk into here and floors slide out, revealing lava. Classic designer gotcha. Okay, now what we're trying to get, I forget exactly where the silver key is here. I think it was down here and we just missed it. Let's try going right this time. And there it is. Yeah, we can see through that window there. We've got the silver key floating up in its little cage, so we're like, well, we must have to do something like this. Oh yeah, that was the hilarious moving teleporter gag. I like these stained glass windows. Okay, and then all of them open up and there's like zombies and other baddies in them. Oh yeah, that level, that wall just had its textures rotated, so that's revealing a secret there. I forget if there's just a little slime pit with some treats in it that you can jump into. Oh yeah, and there's probably like a whole bunch of secrets up here or something. Yeah, that you can like, you're up on these little walkways here. I forget what's going on with those. I believe this is the way to the silver key. Yep. There it is. Yeah, I'm hazy on where all the secrets are in this space, but... And then do we have to just go back the long way? I think we might. What does that do? One more to go. Sequence completed. Oh, I see. Okay. Extendo bridge out to here. Okay. So that whole little quest was just to get the silver key. All right, now is this the way forward? This level suffers. This space suffers from a bit of a symmetry problem because like this little bit, like it feels kind of symmetrical along this axis here. But no, this is the right way to go. All right, now I am going to save my game because it is pretty easy to not make this jump. Hey, no, I did it first try. Are you sure you want to exit now? You left behind something important. I guess that's just one of the 2 remaining secrets. Anyway, this is the proper level exit that just goes to the next level, and then this goes to the secret level, which is the Nameless City, E4M8. Yeah, this is an odd one. I think the internal title, before they actually allocated like fictional level names and episode and level numbers, this was called Sandy City or something, because the city maps from Doom 2 had proved a big hit. You know, Sandy Peterson did map 13 downtown, and Romero did map 15 in what is it, the industrial sector, industrial complex. Why am I blanking on the name of that level? Anyway, city maps were really cool in Doom because you could have very big open spaces and things that felt like freestanding buildings and real architecture and stuff. And I think for a while, my guess with the story for what this map in Quake 1 is that is that they were like, well, hey, city maps were great. Let's do some for Quake. What I think they found was that doing big open spaces didn't really work. There were multiple the technical limitations on what you could throw up on screen in Quake 1 were very different from that of Doom. And oh yeah, we're going into like a dark, spooky kind of situation here. I forget. Okay, yeah, and then the lights come on. And this is just a light switch. The lights come off and on. I don't know. This might be an interesting one to... This would be a very cat and mouse kind of deathmatch space, I guess. I don't know if that was part of the rationale for that. Because yeah, this, like, unlike the city maps from Doom 2, this feels very claustrophobic and tunnely in a lot of ways. And yeah, it's just kind of a weird one. I think it's probably most appropriate as a secret level. And yeah, its flow is really confusing. Like this one brick texture gets such a workout. And it kind of makes everything really hard to oh yeah, Into Sandy City was the name that Bobby Prince gave to one of the tracks, the music tracks that he composed for Doom 2. I believe, yeah, it ended up getting allocated to map 9, the Pit, which was a Sandy Peterson map, but it was not Sandy Peterson's downtown level, which is, if I'm remembering right, is map 13. But yeah, like, you know, that was just like Bobby Prince composed a bunch of the tracks, and then I think Romero or somebody else like allocated the music tracks to each level. So yeah. Okay, so this is a weird thing. There's like a hole cut in the ceiling here, and then there's like this pit. I don't know if this is supposed to be like a ruined building kind of thing. It definitely reads as such in modern level design. Like, yeah. Yeah, and I guess this was just a little secret with some treats and stuff. Okay, now we're just dropped into a dark space. Now this section right here, we see this like elevator with a little cage around it that we can't get into. This section feels very, very much like... Oh yeah, actually I think there's a key. Before I talk about that, let's just go down this little progression here and do the thing that... Ah, yes, okay. So we hit that switch, and that actually lowered that platform that we had gotten to before and didn't know what to do with. Yeah, no, this definitely, yeah, like the city stuff in this map specifically does have kind of a a city levels from Thief 1 feel to it. I agree. Yeah, like, you know, the thief city levels, particularly the what is it? Down in the Bone Horde, and I guess maybe the entrance to. Oh, it's the Haunted Cathedral, not Return to Cathedral, but Haunted Cathedral. Anyway, you're going through like old ruined city, and there's zombies everywhere and stuff. Anyway, this section I wanted to mention reminds me really strongly of a bit from Half-Life 1, where you go in and it's the part that's rigged where there's like dozens and dozens of laser trip mines, and it's all rigged up, and there's a big rocket in there, and it'll explode if you set any of it off. The elevator that you were trying to get to in that space is enclosed on multiple sides by these bars, and so you can't just climb through it, because I guess you're an FPS refrigerator box collision man. And so you end up doing something that's kind of weirdly similar to this, where you drop into the elevator chamber from the top, and then you hit the button and the elevator lowers you down into the next section. I don't know if Valve's designers played this level specifically and were like, hey, that elevator in a cage type bit is cool. I don't know. I don't know if there's any connection whatsoever to those. I forget who designed that little part from in Half-Life. If it was the Casali brothers, then they obviously have a connection to id going back to Final Doom. But yeah. Okay, and so now we have the gold key. We go here. And now where do we go? I think... No, we don't have the silver key yet. Yeah, that's right. We go around here. We get up on this platform, which we can now jump into this weird space that's surrounding it. And then we go into a teleporter. Yeah, and we go into this room, which is actually like completely different from the rest of the level, and is just like this catacomb place with an ambiguous spatial relationship to everywhere else in the level. But I do love this room, because it's got like this kind of like catacomby vaulted ceiling. This particular texture hardly gets used anywhere else in the game, if I recall. And yeah, there's like I think there's like an invincibility pentagram or something on that platform. And then there's the silver key that we came for. And now we have what we need to leave the level. Let's see, and where is that door out? There it is. Yeah, just weird floor grating type situation. I forget how you get down here, but... Oh, that's how. Yeah, and then we just get the level archway. So yeah, that is the Nameless City, probably the weirdest of the secret levels. I don't know. I mean, that's... most of the secret levels have some sort of weird, you know, something kind of strange about them. Okay, so now we are on the penultimate map of episode 4, the Pain Maze, E4M6. Yeah, so we've got kind of a fork in the road here. I forget, there's like a little switch there. It opens up something here, maybe? Yeah, there are kind of multiple paths through this space, and I forget what the pros and cons of each are. Oh yeah, we're getting pushed off into this space. It just kind of scraped us in. And now there are these... Yeah, we can't get up there. There are these little switches. And I think we're fighting fiends and zombies and stuff as they come in. And oh, here's a gold key. And now we're back up at the level start. Oh, what's this? Huh, okay. Oh, I see, yeah, we're just on the far side of... yeah, so we come in here, and we would have come here the other way. The more accepted way. And yeah, I forget if they prompt you with this in the text, but you shoot this bloody slab type thing, and it says the altar has been defiled, and then some monsters teleport in, and then that opens up the way to the silver key. So now we've got both keys, but there's still much of this level that we have not yet explored. And we swim through these passageways. Lower this thingy. I think that lift will only come down if you have the gold key. Making use of these keys that we had gathered. I get the impression that you were intended to like be able to do these well out of order. Because yeah, I always sort of feel like I'm short-circuiting the actual progression of this level. Okay, and then we ride this up here, and we come back into this space with all the weird timbers and stuff. I think that just takes us to a secret. I don't know if I necessarily care about that. And then maybe this is the way out. Yes. And then we shoot this other altar. You have defiled the altar, and then that opens up this. And then that's the... yeah, and once again we're being chided here for missing some of the secrets. And yeah, now... and now it is on to the last... level of Episode 4 and the last full level of the game, E4M7 Azure Agony, and you can kind of see right away where this level gets its name from. This was Sandy just going deep on I think I mentioned before, each of the level designers had their own line of communication with the texture artists, Kevin Cloud and Adrian Carmack, on this game. And so they would each get their own texture drops from those artists. And so that's why these levels have, like, that's why the different episodes have fairly different, unique texturing motifs. Sandy, I guess, either requested or got a bunch of blue textures. And they show up throughout. And there are other levels, like E3M6, say, that, you know, are fairly heavily blue. But this level is the one where they really get a full workout. The entire level, except for this one little red section of corridor that holds a secret, is very blue. Oh yeah, I forget what... yeah, and I don't remember... This level has a very odd progression. A secret lurks in the Hall of Red Brick. Yeah. I really have no memory of what that's about, but we'll figure it out. Okay, yeah, now we got the silver key. Shoot one of those, one more to go, and then we go down here, and there's another window type thing in the floor. We shoot that, and that completes the sequence. Yeah, there's a little secret here. I think there was a quad damage in there. Oh, oh cool. Okay, yeah, there's a secret. 9 secrets in this level. Yeah, multiple little points where we can see up into another section of corridors and can't quite get up to it. And this is the Hall of Red Brick, which I think was created mostly just for landmarking. And now I think this is the bit that opened, and it has some goodies in it. Yeah. Yeah, and you can kind of... I forget if this does anything, but you can kind of like run along these for a ways. Maybe not. So yeah, I'm once again like, yeah, navigationally this is pretty bad because, like, you know, my current screen is kind of is a big texturing motif of the spaces. And so about all you can tell is like, okay, there's a hallway and it's going in that direction, and I guess, yeah, it's only when you get to these rooms that have something really going on in them that you can orient yourself. Are there like lifts up here? I think there's enemies up there, and you kill them or something. I only have the silver key right now. Because there is a whole deeper section of this level. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. And yeah, this level doesn't have a gold key. It's just... you come into this room, and I think there are 4... the enemy is called a Vor, and it's just like the nasty, like, 3-legged Cthulhu wizard revenant type thingy. Yeah, and there's a rune for the level, and... yeah, and I think that's it for this episode. Like, I think this just takes us back into the rest of the space in case we want to get those 4 more of those secrets. But no, yeah. So that is Azure Agony, and with it, episode 4 of Quake. The awful might of the Elder World. The Rune of Elder Magic. Beyond good and evil, beyond life and death, the rune pulsates, heavy with import. It's just, I don't know, there's something about, like, this is such a threadbare suggestion of a story, but I kind of like the relish with which these 4 paragraphs try to sketch out this story. Yeah, this is another one of those quiet piano tracks that that felt appropriate for an intermission screen. The Vor at the end of that episode is known by speedrunners infamously as Illuminati Vor because somehow it takes more damage than the others. That's really interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up. Huh. Okay, we're just hearing a whole lot about Shub-Niggurath here. Once all runes of magic power are united, the energy behind them will blast open the gateway to Shub-Niggurath, and you can travel there to foil the Hellmother's plots in person. And then we get an additional paragraph about now you have all 4 runes. Tremendous invisible forces moving to unseal ancient barriers. Now you will use them to enter her home and confront her as an avatar of avenging Earth life. Oh yes, yes, yes. I like this. I like this final sentence here. If you defeat her, you will be remembered forever as the savior of the planet. If she conquers, it will be as if you had never been born. As if she's like, I don't know. I guess she's messing with time. I guess is all that means. And just, you know, she'll conquer everything before you even have a chance to be born. Okay, so now we are back in the start level, and yeah, we've got all 4 episodes completed, and now the pit to Shub-Niggurath has opened up, and Shub-Niggurath awaits you. We've got the dingy underbelly and a teleporter pit to jump into, and now we're in the end level. And we get dropped straight into water, which is kind of disorienting. And it's like, oh man, what's going on? I think there's like a bunch of those little bitey fish. They kind of keep you under the water as long as they can here because you're stuck. Let's see. I think there might be a secret in here. Pretty hard to see in this water, but... Oh, okay, and I guess this opened up or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter too much. Alright, and then there is a sort of fairly different, cool-looking teleporter thing made of lava. Then we jump in, and we see this weird little ball floating as if on a path. And we walk in, and there she is, Shub. There is Shub. And you try to shoot her, and she bleeds, but she does not appear to take damage. And I remember when I played this back in the day, just throwing everything I had at her, and nothing working. And I more recently saw people talking about like, oh yeah, I never beat Quake. I got to the last level and I dumped all of my ammo into the final boss and nothing happened. And yeah, you're not. It's a puzzle boss. You're not meant to she can't be killed via direct damage. And you've got this little ball thing that's floating around, and you're like, huh, what's up with that? And then on the path up to this, you've got these little knifey deals, I guess. These little spikes that stick out of the wall, and you're fighting this short little gauntlet that they have you run on the trip up to the main vantage point here is just littered with, there's like multiple dimensional shamblers and fiends and stuff like that. So you're cutting a path through the most difficult enemies in the game. Okay, so what you eventually realize that you have to do is that you have to telefrag this baddie, and that little thing right there is a moving teleporter destination. And if we wait right until it moves through her body, then we will jump through here and it will telefrag her, and that's the game. Oh, cool! Yeah, and the next little bit of this track that I picked for it, it's got kind of an ominous sort of build-up thing, and then it's got this second movement that is actually feels like a little bit of a callback to the very first track on the album. And I always imagined it having about this timing, even though it doesn't take you nearly as much time to beat the level if you're not talking. But yeah, and then you get the victory screen. You telefrag Shub, and id Software personally congratulates you, and you get to see your Quake character, your Quake 1 guy character, in the full body for the first time. You have proven that your skill and your cunning are greater than all the powers of Quake. You are the master now. id Software salutes you. It's always just kind of an adorable thing when, like, the game developers, like, personally salute you, or even just say, like, thanks for playing. Anyway, yeah, and with that is all of the levels of Quake 1 set to Ghosts 1 through 4 by 9 Inch Nails. You can download this mod on jp.itch.io. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this stream. Yeah, this is the itch.io page, jp.itch.io/Quake-Ghosts. And yeah, I did 2 little bug fix updates for it last week and the week before. If you have any thoughts on it, or if you find a bug or something, feel free to post a comment here, as some people have already done. And yeah, the mod download includes everything that you need to do your own remix of this. If you want to change the track order, it probably wouldn't be very difficult to adapt the Quake C and the entity files and stuff to the Doom expansion packs, the Quake expansion pack. So if you want to do that, let me know if you go through the trouble. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, this has definitely been kind of a deep dive into Quake 1's single-player level design. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. And yeah, I guess I'll see some of y'all next Wednesday for the return in 2018 of WOD Wednesdays, where I pick a completely random Doom level and play through it. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and have a lovely Saturday. All right, bye-bye.